Welcome to another episode of Straight Shooting Sports Talk, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And today we're talking a little NASCAR, and we're talking about the Aaron's 499 at Talladega. What can you say about that race? I'm sure a lot of people have a lot to say about that race, and I'm sure it's split right down the middle of being positive or negative. I mean, it was 7 hours long, a marathon. Not a race, it was a freaking marathon. You start off in the beginning, Matt Kenseth leading 142 laps. And then the rain comes. Old Carl sneaks right in there right before the caution and gets his spot, that number one spot, just in case it gets rained out. Now, before that, we had that big crash involving Kyle Busch right out of the gates too. I mean, who would ever thought that would have been a crash that early? I mean, everybody expects the big one at Talladega, but no one would have thought that it would have been that early. But Carl makes that move, gets there. Now we have a 4-hour rain delay. 4 hours. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with the drying ability that NASCAR has right now. That's pretty interesting. I don't know if anybody continued to watch a little bit as they were drying the track, and they had that little segment on their drying equipment there, but very interesting stuff. I thought that was pretty impressive how they've come up with better ways to dry the track. But anyway, now we'll get back to racing. About 50 laps to go. Right around lap 11, we have another big one. Another big one involving Stenhouse Jr. trying to fit his car where I don't know where he was trying to fit it, but there was nothing there. He was just kind of using it as a battering ram, if you ask me. Getting J.J. Yeley involved, getting Kurt Busch involved. Kurt Busch flips over, lands on Ryan Newman, and after all of that, takes out Danica Patrick, among others. And of course, it's like where there's a wreck, there's Danica. I really feel sorry for the girl. You know, she really raced a pretty decent race the entire time between the delays. And it seems like whenever there's a wreck on the racetrack, you look for that green GoDaddy car, and there it is, all banged up. Wrecks seem to find her. I don't get it. It's just unbelievable. And after the wreck, Ryan Newman was pretty ticked. Really ticked. And there were some things that he said about them driving in the rain and it being dark. I think a lot of it was heat of the moment. But when we get to the end of it, finally, David Ragan wins this race. And I tell you what, hats off to David Ragan. Hats off to guys like Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, who stayed consistent all day long, right up front, all day long, jarring and jockeying for position. And they were right there at the end to have an opportunity to win. And hey, you have to say that was an excellent move by David Ragan. I mean, it looked like the whole time that Carl had this one in the bag. And right at the end, he just jerks out, car shoots by, and Carl couldn't do anything about it. There was nothing he could do about it, and he takes the win, the Aaron's 499. Now, when we look at this entire race, it's pretty bizarre all the way around, from start to finish. I know there's a lot of people that are upset with the way, maybe track prep, whatever. I didn't see anything personally. I didn't see any cars get squirrely, have any problems as far as the track not being dry. I believe they talked to Darrell Waltrip at some point during a caution. He thought that it was pretty clear. You could see pretty clear. I didn't think it was very dark. We can point fingers either way. You can point at NASCAR. You can point at whoever you want to point them at. But the bottom line is I think the guys like Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, and David Ragan, obviously, for winning the race, those guys who ran up front all day, who worked hard, stayed consistent to keep a race car that would have the ability to win the race. Those guys should be commended for, hey, spending 7 hours out there, 4 hours of it on downtime, and then having to go back out there and try to win a race. That was pretty tremendous, and I think that's what we should take from this race. Now, when you look at the point standing, all these guys in the top 10, excellent race cars, and it's going to be a jockeying for position all season long, and it's going to come right down to the wire. Of course, you know, anybody's race, Jimmy Johnson is always the favorite just because, you can't knock a champ, but I think this is going to be an excellent season if we can just get Mother Nature out of the way. Well, again, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of Straight Shooting Sports Talk. Again, if you have a topic or would like to hear our take on something that you have a question about, please shoot us an email to straightshootingst@gmail.com. And as always, subscribe to the show. Again, you've been watching another episode of Straight Shooting Sports Talk.